Welcome folks to the final video in this GOMP series. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how once we've sort of created the mesh and we've retopologized and we've painted it and we've rigged it in Mixamo, we need to have a look at how to get into skin weights and how to adjust our model. So whatever it is, whatever animation we're going to be putting into our model, we need to make sure that it's going to be compatible and it needs properly skin weighting. So what I've done is I've taken the liberty of taking our GOMP character and I've put it back into Maya, and basically with the rig imported from Mixamo, we've gone into basically just doing some of the skin weighting around the head, just basically areas that needed adjusting. You'll have seen from the previous videos when we kind of put the model into Mixamo, you kind of had this kind of weird aberrations going around with the mesh, so just needed to sort of take care of that. And yeah, so anyway, so let's just have a look. So I've just created this little scene in Unreal where we've got our character, and I've basically imported a bunch of animation. So we've got like an idling animation here with our GOMP character. And we've got our GOMP character here doing capoeira, which is pretty cool. We've got our character basically attempting to push a block, not getting very far in the process. And then we've got our characters, well, supposedly kind of like trying to sort of climb along this pole, and again not getting very far. But the main point of this was really just to drop the animations in there and just see if there was anything odd going on with the mesh. So just things like any areas where it might be kind of like creating, you know, sort of folds that kind of look a bit weird. But generally speaking, they all seem to be fine. And the reason I've also put it into Unreal is just basically, you know, when it comes to say something like this, like a character, once we've kind of tidied it up using the skin weighting, there's then nothing to stop you then dropping it into third-person character and creating a blend space, doing an idle run walk animation, and then have a character kind of running around in a game and doing all kinds of cool stuff. So that's the aim anyway with the with this video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this down. We're going to open up Maya in the next part of this video, and just going to have a look at basically, you know, it's a general view of like skin weighting and how to approach it, or at least my way of approaching it, and yeah, trying to basically iron out any kind of errors with the mesh. So I will see you in the next part of the video. Okay, welcome back folks to the next part of this video. So we're back in Mixamo at this point, and we're just picking up from where we were before we left it, and you can see here we've got our character now. It looks great, you know, if I do say so myself, but you know, in terms of just, you know, it all worked out. The texture was in there, the you know, and the movement kind of looks alright. However, when you sort of get into look a little bit closer, you can see here, because obviously, you know, these animations are for humanoids, and our little sort of Gomp creature isn't. It's kind of humanoid, but at the same time it's sort of quite alien looking. Not really, you know, it's got arms and legs, but that's about it. So, you know, it's just got basically a pair of eyes just kind of sticking out of a torso. And as a consequence, you can see here there's some aberrations going on. If I just zoom in a little bit there, you can see this kind of like horrible stretching going on around the eyes, you know. And, you know, if it was something like, if we were making this, if we were sort of creating like maybe like a top-down game like this with the character, you might not mind so much. You know, if you got something like that, the character's kind of running around and, you know, that kind of, it didn't really need that level of detail, we'd probably get away with it. But maybe, you know, you'd want to put it in, you know, a sort of like third-person player in something like Unreal or even Unity, and you're going to want to at least do something about this, you know, about these things here. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to download this, we're going to upload it into Maya, and then we're going to have a play around with basically doing a bit of skin weighting around the eyes, around the chin area where we put the little joints in, and we'll have a look at the legs as well because they'll need doing, and that's pretty much it really, and that's where we'll go. So anyway, so without further ado, just going to click next on this. I'm just going to upload our character there. So what I'm going to aim to do, if I can, now let me just have a quick look at this. I'm just going to refresh this. I was hoping to download the character into a T-pose. Let's have a look. Okay, so hopefully it'll download in T-pose. If not, it's not the end of the world. But ideally, you know, with your character, you want to download in a T-pose. So I'm just going to go download. And I'm just going to go save that file. That's just downloading at the moment. Okay, so that should download anytime now. I'm going to come through to Maya, and we're going to go through to File and Gomp character there. I'm going to go Import. And there we are. So it's downloaded in the T-pose. Now if you want, you know, you can just hit 6 and just put textures on there, but not going to be too bothered about that. So we're going to need to look at this skin weighting. So in order to do that, I'm going to first go to Windows, and we're just going to do the outline. Now I'm just going to put that in there just so we can select the mesh. And next I'm going to go through into rigging, and I'm going to go to skin and paint skin weights. So you can see there we've now got the, if I just go to onto the mesh there, I'll just bring back the skin weighting now. There we go. So we've got our little hierarchy of all of our joints there. And if I just go up to the top, so you can see there, if you click on each one of these, you'll see it corresponds to where it's weighted. Yeah, so we've got getting closer up now to the shoulders, forearms, hands. And we're going to get to the neck and the head as well. Now, what we're going to be looking for is areas where, perhaps around the body, where, so we could, if you recall, when we were kind of playing around in Mixamo, you could see, you know, the animation to a sort of stretching part of this in quite a horrible way. So we're going to really look about firming some of this up. Now, I don't profess to be an expert in skin weighting. I've played around with it over the years. I find it a little bit hit and miss, but I can find my way through it generally, and you know, get the models in shape. So I'm going to sneeze. That's me. So, all right. So, if you, by the way, if you're not seeing the skeleton, so if I just click off, let's go into something like that. Right. If you're not seeing the skeleton, you want to go into shading, and you want to make sure that X-ray joints is turned on. So that's basically just so you can see and navigate your way through. But when it comes to doing all the skin weighting, you want to go onto your sculpt. You want to be double click on the skin weights, and then you want to work your way around the model. So the head seemed to be where we were having most of the issues. Now I can see here, obviously we want the kind of want the head to turn, and we want the kind of body to turn, but we don't want this kind of over the top stretching going on. So what I'm going to do here is, if you look on the left here, ideally you want your skin weights to be on replace. Now we're probably going to have a bit of a play around with opacity, but basically that's the sort of degree to which you want. So if I just kind of paint on that now, you can see there it's not fully turning it white, and that means you can sort of create gradation. So the white essentially is solid, immovable, yeah, doesn't move, but whatever's kind of black is able to move. If, however, you create more of these halftones, it means it kind of firms it up, not solidly, but it will firm it up and it'll stop it stretching as much. Now, with the eyes, ideally I want this quite strong. I don't really want the eyes to be stretching. So obviously you've got to make sure that you've got your joint selected. So here, the head, I want to make sure that that's pretty much solid. I don't really want that in any way kind of stretching all over the place, which is what we were seeing earlier. But for any surrounding area, this is where, now I'm not sure if this is going to work. If I hold down Shift, yeah, it's working there. So if you hold down Shift, it will actually create it'll cut down the opacity, so you can actually just feather around the edges, so phase it a little bit, just so it'll move, but it won't be completely solid. So you're just kind of creating this point. Now, let's test this out. I'm going to go back to the selection, and if we can see that, I'm just going to turn the image off. I've just pressed 5 just so we get a clearer idea. So this is going to be sort of like the chin area. I'm going to hit the E key, and I'm just going to turn this. So basically this is going to be the chin. So if I say turn this now to the right, the character's right, there is it's still quite sort of ugly in terms of the stretching. Yeah, you know, you can see a bit of nastiness there, and you can see some other stuff around here, right? So we want to try at least just relax this a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the select now, go to the outliner, Gomp Sculpt, and then click on our skin weighting. And this is where I'm just going to kind of hold down Shift. So bear in mind, again, just make sure that you have your joint selected as well. So I've still got it on the head. And I'm just going to start just relaxing this, just so you haven't got any kind of like these odd, sharp kind of angles. And you can see there what it's doing is it's basically just kind of relaxing it. So we've got the kind of head turning, but at the same time it's kind of relaxing some of these areas. So when we do have the character looking to its right or to our left as we're looking at it, it's not so extreme, and we're not going to kind of get these jagged bits of geometry going on. So what I'm going to do here is I can see there's something a bit kind of funny going on in this area. So I'm just going to like click without holding down Shift. I'm just going to go click. Try that again. What I'm going to do, I want to essentially whiten it a little bit more and then take it back down with the Shift. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to opacity. I'm going to take it way down and then try it again like so. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and then just try and relax it. So I'm going to sort of paint into it, essentially, then sort of take it away. And that should start doing something. Let's just try that again. Now you can click, you might be able to hear me kind of clicking. You can just kind of click and hold, you can do that. But I've found that it's almost like there's parts, whether it's the edges of the model, seem to respond differently. If you kind of do it on just one sweep, it doesn't seem to affect it as much. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of doing quick clicks with the left button mouse. I'm just trying to kind of get these unstuck. I'll just take the opacity down a little bit more and then just take that back down again. So you can see there it's kind of perhaps just bumping up just a little bit too much. And oops, and then I'm just going to work my way around now. Too bad. Okay, and then I'm going to work my way around to this side, and again I'm just going to hold down Shift and just try and relax some of this, just so it's not so contorted. You're going to get a bit of a crease because it's a strange kind of like goblin type creature. It's not like a regular human. So, and you can't just have, you know, this like basically pair of eyes on stalks kind of moving without it affecting the rest of the geometry. But it's that kind of, what we don't want is that kind of extreme crossing of the mesh. Anyway, that's kind of generally looking alright. I'm just having a look around. Just a bit on the side here. So that's kind of looking alright. Let's just go and have a look now at, just going to click on that joint, hit the E key. So yes, we're getting some folds, but it's not that offensive, you know, for what it is. So I'm just going to hit F6 now. Sorry, hit 6. It's creating some, you know, you're getting some like stretching. I mean, I guess this is initially supposed to be like the character's kind of teeth of sorts, but it's but that's generally looking all right. Okay, and then we'll just have a quick look. I'm just going to go to 5 again, and we'll have the character kind of looking up. And I'll go back to the outliner sculpt and click back on the skin weighting, and let's just have a look. And again, I'm just going to look at just, it kind of looks okay. and just see where it goes. Sometimes, you know, I've been doing this for a while. Sometimes you're trying it out and it looks like it's kind of going okay, and then it's not going okay, and so it's a little bit of trial and error that goes on with this. So I might just have a quick look and just see. Okay, so once you're kind of happy with that, you can then sort of start to check other parts of the body. So, for example, we've got the head there. We can have a look at the neck. Now, the neck seems fairly kind of faint in comparison. So, as we were sort of working our way down, I'm loath to kind of touch that much because it looks like we've got the kind of neck moving as it is. Going to look now at the sort of right shoulder, so you can see there's something a little bit weird going on there. That's all kind of getting pulled out. And what we can do to remedy some of this is, so you can see here what I'm doing is I'm holding down Control this time, and I'm actually taking the influence or restricting the influence coming from that shoulder, and I'm just redressing the balance because I don't want that to be affecting that too much. We can still see though that it's pulling it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work my way down now. You can see there. So if I go like further down, so as it's starting to kind of follow the joint, you can see it's still pulling the body. So I'm going to hold down Control, and you can see there now it's bringing, as I'm holding down Control and bringing and clicking into it, it's actually bringing the mesh back to its original pose, original position, So again, I don't want to be too restrictive on this, but you can see now it's just starting to bring the sort of shape back. Now, I don't want it not to completely influence it. You can see here I've got this kind of, it's a bit of a funny thing going on here with this, it's like this sort of vertex, it's like this sort of vertex is being pulled up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there and just see if I can calm that down. There we go. So that's all looking alright. And then what you can do is, once you're kind of happy with the general position, you can then just maybe hold down Shift and just, dust around the area, because it's like you don't want it to not influence it. Okay, so that's kind of looking alright. We'll have a look now at the forearm. So yeah, that's generally looking alright. It goes the way to the hand and to the index finger. But yeah, that looks okay. So far so good. And then again, like the head, to test it, I'm going to come back through to the outliner, and we'll have that selected. Just going to click on that shoulder joint. Going to hit the E key, and we're going to bend that down. So that seems to be bending really nicely. I mean, obviously, we're not. I am aiming to sort of do a separate video of looking at how we could possibly create a rig from this. It's just something I'm exploring at the moment. Mixamo actually does do a plugin for Maya where you can actually create a rig from the rig that it puts in, but that will be in another video. Anyway, that's kind of generally looking alright, so I'm going to take that back up to there. Now you can do, if you want, there is this function, right? It's going to go back into Sculpt and there. Now it does have a function called mirror skin weights, which can be really useful for for when you're doing characters. And by all means, you could sort of take this and go into skin and then mirror skin weight. I'm not going to do that. And one of the reasons I'm not going to do it is this model that I've created, it's a little bit all over the place really. It's not entirely symmetrical. It was kind of sculpted. It's not, you know, strictly human. So it's, you know, it's not necessarily going to follow the same rules. So when you're doing something like this, like creatures, you know, unless they are absolutely bang on symmetrical, I would say just take a more nuanced approach and just kind of do as you see fit in terms of, like, you know, with the skin weighting. I think trying to apply, you know, symmetry, yeah, I'm just talking from experience. It might throw some things up for you. So anyway, so basically after you've done that, we'll then sort of go through to the left. So we've got the left shoulder here. So like the right shoulder, we've got the left shoulder. Okay, so that's all looking pretty good. Looked at the neck, looked at the head. The next parts are going to be just looking at the spine. Now generally they kind of look all right, but there may be some adjustments that we will need to make. So I'm just looking at some of these areas here. I'm going to go through to the select tool and I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to hit the E key. Right, so this is where we're going to start probably seeing some dramatic change when we twist the body. So that seems to be okay. I'm going to now take it back round to the other side this time. Okay, so just looking at it now in terms of moves, so, you know, even though we are getting like stretching, I mean, it is like it's acting a little bit more like skin. You know, you get folds of the skin of this. Obviously it's a fictional kind of character, but at least it's not looking too offensive and there's none of that kind of weird stretching that was kind of going on in the Mixamo. Okay, so we've done the head. We've had the character kind of looking up. I'm not sure if we actually did the character looking down. I think looking down's kind of okay. A little bit of kind of stuff there. He's got this bottom lip thing going on, but I think we can live with that. These are all kind of things that, you know, you can probably spend a bit more time on, but for all intents and purposes that's kind of looking okay. And the only other bits really are, obviously you can have a look sort of a little bit further down. You could have a look at these other joints. And again, see if anything's kind of happening there, you know, kind of work your way down. But I think we've sort of taken care of like the most offensive bits. We've sort of taken care of, I think. Just looking a little bit further down there. And that is pretty much it in terms of, it's going to hit 6 now. In terms of your character. So basically what you could do from here in terms of putting the character into Unreal is you'd export your character as an FBX. So it's already got, it's already kind of weighted for this skeleton. And then essentially what you do is, if we just go back into go back into Mixamo there. So what you could do after that is go into, say, the animations and find any animation that you so desire. I mean, obviously, have a play around, of course, have a bit of fun. But when it comes to playing around with the blend space, then you want something that's kind of fairly sober. So you want to put like a character with that's sort of idling. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, I did have the character doing a capoeira. And some other bits and bobs. But ideally, you want a character that's idling, walking, running, and possibly jumping as well. So, and if you look at my previous videos of looking at Unreal and how to import animations onto a character, looking at the things like blend space, and also looking at creating state machines and all that kind of stuff, you can look at those previous videos and basically apply this to that. That's pretty much it, really, folks. So that will bring a conclusion to the series of videos I've been doing with our little Gomp character. Hopefully you found the videos useful. Hopefully you found this video useful. For those watching on YouTube, please be sure to give this video a like if you found it helpful. And leave a comment if you like. You've got any questions, that's fine. And also, most importantly, subscribe. But that's it. So thanks for watching. Until next time, folks. See you in the next video. Okay, bye for now.